This is the Shoulda Bet More podcast, presented by Gold Boys Network. Here's your host, Will Hill.
Welcome to the Shoulda Bet More podcast, presented by Gold Boys. Coming up on the show, Kiev O'Neil, our buddy from the Odds Breakers, outstanding college basketball handicapper, really good handicapper in a lot of sports, but college basketball will be the focus today as conference tournaments are here. As I'm recording this, the Atlantic Sun is underway. Stetson in Central Arkansas and North Florida, Austin P, a little playing around action, and we will be underway. Another one starts on Tuesday. That's the Sun Belt. Horizon also starts on Tuesday, and then you get a bunch more, March 5th, 6th, 7th. You just go down the line. Every day it brings about another 2, 3, 4, 5 tournaments, and once they start coming, they do come pretty regularly here. 31 total, so one is underway and a bunch more to follow, and they are really condensed here in a 10-day window. Last week of the regular season, college hoops for the major programs, the Big 12, the Big East, all those ACC, SEC. So we'll get into that. Nothing major takeaway in terms of takeaways for the weekend with the college hoops. Bama lost a terrible game to Tennessee. I was on the air live with JVT on Saturday as that game was happening. I was killing Tennessee because Tennessee was down 3, like 40 seconds left. They miss a shot and they foul. So what are you fouling for? Just get a stop, hit a 3. You're going to play the free throw game and you're going to be down 4 or 5. It's hard to come back. Well, it's not hard to come back. First of all, Bama missed the free throw, so it's 4. Okay, you're still in good shape. Tennessee goes to the bucket, the basket. They get fouled. They make a shot. Why you're fouling there, why you're contesting there, I have no idea. And then on a free throw, they miss, but Bama fouls again. 2 more free throws. Tennessee sinks them both. And then Bama, to make matters worse, they drive, get tied up with like 3 seconds left, 3 change left. Jump ball. Bama keeps it. 5-second violation. Can't get the ball in. Tennessee, basically unguarded, gets a pass in, a few dribbles, and the guy sinks it from a little beyond half court, and an awful loss for Bama. Just terrible execution. Neither team, I really think, is a serious threat to win it all. Bama, I don't think, is good enough on defense. And Tennessee, I don't think, is good enough on offense. But just a wild finish. If you would have told somebody, hey, Bama's about to lose this game in regulation, it would have seemed almost impossible. But that's that's the college hoops. End of game, you see some crazy things. It's March is here. March is absolutely here. St. John's played a terrible game against Seton Hall, and you saw the bad game, and they won. They won by 10. They won the Big East, so congrats to them. But you saw the bad version. You saw the version of what St. John's could do to get knocked out early. That is just miss a million shots. If you can ever, now it's easier said than done. If you could ever control the glass against them, you got a shot, because they just cannot shoot. They're tough, they're rugged, they defend, all of these things. They have lots of great qualities. They can't shoot. They don't shoot well at all. So that was another takeaway from the weekend. Before we get to Kiev, and I got one NFL thing too, because Deebo Samuel gets traded to Washington for a 5th rounder, which not a shocking move. They got traded. It was somewhat expected that Samuel will be moved, and Washington's going to be a trendy team here. Just quickly, conference tournament thoughts in general. Early start times, weird start times, strange gyms. First half unders are generally a good play, and second half over. So unders early, overs late, just because, like I said, you get weird start times, weird gyms, empty crowds, max intensity on defense. A lot of things lend itself to early unders. The problem with full game unders, it's the end of the season for these kids, the end of their career. This is single elimination, so they foul more than usual typically, where, if you're down 7 or 8 with 20 seconds left in the regular season, you might just say, you know what, all right, good game, game's over, we'll see you next time. In this scenario, you might get that one extra foul, which could lead to, not just 2 points their end, but then you score, then you foul again. That could lead to a whole wave of more points. So there's generally more fouling at the end. So look for unders early, look for overs late. As far as the Atlantic Sun, and again, these playing games are underway now. Queens at 50-1 is interesting to me. They've competed against a lot of these teams. Lipscomb, North Alabama, they have played pretty well against the top of the conference here. Lipscomb's a -165 favorite. I would not look to lay it with them. This is a conference with a lot of variance. You get a lot of upsets. There were upsets last year, and I just think it's and these teams shoot a lot of threes. There's a lot of variance to begin with, but it's just there's a lot of pressure when you're a one bid league and you win your regular season tournament where you get here and you know what, if we get one bad game, one bad half, we're done. And that goes the other way too, where these teams that have disappointing seasons can kind of undo all of that with a good 2 3 day run. So upsets do happen. Queens at 50 to 1, as long as you get them in the title game somehow. They are the 6th seed. You can hedge. They shoot a ton of threes. The problem for them, they don't make a lot of them. If they ever got a hot shooting day or couple days, they would be in very good shape and be very dangerous. They play good defense, they rebound, they defend the rim. There's a lot of qualities about the team. So Queens City at 50 to 1, I think, is a little long. That is not Queens, New York. That is Queens, North Carolina. And they are actually coming from D2, not eligible to make the tournament. A rule I think is stupid. A rule I don't like. So if they were to win the tournament, I believe Lipscomb, as the regular season champ, gets the automatic bid. It's not the runner-up in the game. So long way from there, but I do like Queens at 50 to 1 to yeah, as a dart though, not like not something I'd go crazy with, but I did think that number was a little long, and I do think that's worth a bet. Quickly, Debo Samuel to Washington. Washington has a little bit of a Houston Texans feel to them. Jonathan Von Tobel, who I had on the other day, I was talking with him, and I think either on the air or off the air, he said, and it's a great point. There's a lot of similarities, a lot of parallels between this year's Redskins, this year's Commanders, and last year's Texans, where rookie quarterback that looks like one of the best players in the league. And then remember last year the Texans traded for Diggs. This year the Commanders trade for Debo Samuel. I'd be careful just because it's a young team, rookie quarterback, and they take a step forward. That does not always mean you take another step forward the next year. People make that mistake a lot of, all right, they were good, they're young, they're going to improve, well, they're going to improve again. I'd be careful. I'd be very careful. It'd be interesting to see when their win season number comes up, what they'll be, 10.5. My guess would be I would look to play an under. It's still a tough division. You get Philly twice. Dallas, who gets completely forgotten, is still a pretty good team. You know, people talk about Dallas like they're just a bottom of the league 4-win team. Dallas is a good team. I know things didn't go their way last year. Dak got hurt, but they won 12 games 3 years in a row prior to that. Dallas, I think, is getting forgotten about. So, we'll be do a lot of college football, a lot of college basketball in the coming weeks, and we will do a full conference tournament preview of these mid majors on Wednesday with Reed Wallach. With a lot of these starting on Wednesday, we'll tape it Tuesday, so we'll have these conference tournaments covered wall to wall. So I'm not going to do a ton of football, a ton of other things. We'll mix in some baseball on the way, but it's going to be a lot of college basketball the next month. Not going to do exclusively college hoops. Like to mix it up a little bit, but did want to get that NFL note in there. It looks like Stafford's going to stay with the Rams, so at least gave us some content in February with not a lot going on, but it does look like they've reworked the deal, and he is going to be a Ram, so that makes sense. I mean, they weren't going to do better than Stafford. Stafford wasn't going to do better than a Ram situation unless he was going to go to like Minnesota, the Raiders, the Giants. None of that stuff made sense. So looks like that's going to be status quo there. And I would be interested to see when these win totals pop up, which I would think would be pretty soon. These books like to get these markets up just so they can, it's content, it's people are talking about it, it's promotion, and they get to keep your money. They get to take bets, and even they take your bet now, and they either get to keep it forever or they pay you out next January, second week of January, when these bets finally do come in. So these win totals are a good excuse for them to tie up your money, and you lose your ticket, or uh, whatever happens. They like to have your money and have your money tied up. So I would imagine these start to come up soon. Washington, if it's at 10.5, I'd be very careful about playing the over. I would actually look towards an under. So I would pump the brakes on Washington. I think there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm with them. A little like Green Bay last year, a little like Houston last year. I think that just because the young team and you make trades, it's not always easy to duplicate that. What if Daniels gets hurt and misses a month or 6 weeks, which not only can happen to anyone, but can especially happen to him as a running quarterback. So that's the NFL. That's the college hoops. We'll do a little more college hoops with Kiev O'Neil, get his thoughts on the Monday card, some of these conference tournaments. That is next. This Shoulda Bet More podcast. All right, we are back, and he is back. He is our buddy. He was on this summer, gave us Indiana a ridiculous price to make the college football playoff. He's given us plenty of other winners along the way from the odds breakers. It is the great Kiev O'Neil. Kev, it is March, man. What's going on? How are you?
The madness is here, Will. No better place to be on than the Shoulda Bet More podcast coming at you Monday. So that's wonderful. And we get to talk about these tournaments already. Had an amazing week of basketball. Holy cow, the fireworks were flying on Saturday night, Will.
Yeah, we'll get to these Monday games, and like you said, we do have some conference tournaments. These conference tournament futures are up at a lot of these books. But any grand takeaways from Saturday? Any team you necessarily feel different one way or another about since this weekend, or take it whatever direction you want to go.
Well, I laid 8.5 with Florida, and then went to like 9.5, 10, and it got a little dicey at the end. And I mean, not even at the end. I guess in the middle it kind of got dicey, but they were always up by 9. A&M fought hard because A&M was in a bad spot, but Florida was also in a pretty good spot to win this after the ugly Georgia loss. And I think Florida, I have to swap them out with Alabama, as one of my five that can win it all. I picked Alabama. I'm sticking with them all year. I'm sure I'll have a bracket where I have them in, but Bama's not my main one. Duke's the main one that can win it all. I would say Florida is second, Auburn is third. I want to get cute here. I don't like Houston. I'm sorry. I like what they're doing in the Big 12. I don't like them as a tournament team, and I think they can get bounced. So I'm just not going to include Houston. I'll throw Texas Tech in there instead. When they played Houston, they were down two guys. And then I'm not using UConn no more. Now, don't get me wrong; they do have pedigree where they could show up and not be as nervous as other teams. But that's a pretty good list right there. Do I throw the Johnnies in? Johnnies can make the Final Four, but I think it's really just the four that I said here. Duke, Auburn, Florida, and we'll have fun with Texas Tech. And even Iowa State was really good last week too.
That is about the way Alabama closed that game is about as bad as you can do. I mean, you just from like coaches are going to show their teams that of like a clinic on what not to do. And for people that didn't miss it, or for people that missed it, Bama's up 3. They get a stop with like 35 seconds left, and they're in the double bonus. Tennessee fouls, which I think was a mistake. Or there's 40 seconds left because there's a 10-second differential. To me, you get the stop, you try to get a 3. Tennessee fouls. Bama misses a free throw, cuts it to 4. Okay, you're up 4, 30 seconds left. You're in good shape. They foul a jump shooter. Guy makes it and one. Then they foul on a rebound, sinks both free throws. Then they could settle for the last shot. They drive with 3 seconds left, eventually turn it over on a 5-second because they can't inbound it after a jump ball, and then leave the shooter wide open. I mean, that is like the bingo card of what the hell not to do in the last 30 seconds. That was awful execution.
It's almost like Bill Self was coaching them. Yeah, yeah. Those last minute mess ups really, really kill you. But the truth is that Alabama has to hang their head up high still for what they accomplished this year with just all the quad one wins. Are they kind of not hot right now when you need to be? I guess. I mean, out of the last 5 games, they lost 3, and it was to Auburn, Missouri, and Tennessee. Very, very acceptable losses. The fact that Alabama was away probably messed with them a little bit, but there's a reason why Tennessee, for me, isn't there either. And Alabama screwed up the game, but everything is still right in front of Alabama. They're in the tournament. They're a 2 seed. I mean, so what? You're not a 1 seed. If you're a 1 seed, you got to play the 2 seed anyway. I don't feel too bad for them, but this is the time if you really want the 1 seed that you got to put the pedal to the metal.
Any team, we'll just do teams you think are overrated, underrated right now before we get to some of these Monday games.
Absolutely. I think UCLA is a little overrated, and I think they're going to be playing on Monday. So maybe that's a little hint to what could happen. I talked about them a little bit last week. I think they're just a little bit too high up there. We do this exercise a lot, and so I try to get a little bit creative and new. Um, I would say BYU is getting a little bit overrated. They're getting a little high for me. I think just running through an easier Big 12 has kind of been really helping them. I don't. I'm kind of down on the Big 12 this year. I thought I was down on the Big 10 in January, but it's the Big 12 really. Buy low team. Well, I'll give you a buy low team that is minus 250 to win their tournament that I don't want to play, that I don't want my team, the Badgers, to play is High Point. High Point is fantastic, and they are on a massive run, second longest active win streak at 11 games, just running through everybody. And it's not like these are close games. This is kind of like the UC San Diego situation where they're just blowing everybody out, in most cases. And they're doing it at the right time, Will. This is the kind of profile Ball screens, 3-point shots off the ball screens, decent at offensive rebounding. That's the kind of profile that what the Baltimore Retrievers were when they beat Virginia. Imagine if Houston has to play High Point or somebody like that in the tournament. It probably wouldn't be the first week, but you never know. High Point could be 12, 13, 14 seed that is going to make some noise.
Yeah, and it's funny. We will have the brackets 2 weeks from now, which is man, crazy to think about. It exciting. It's great to think about, to be honest. 2 weeks from now, we'll have the bracket in our hands. I feel like they've gotten smarter, and I don't know when you started handicapping or whatever, but even 5, 10, 15 years ago, you just these these live dogs, you don't get quite the number you expect to get, or you used to get with some of these. So the books are kind of onto this. They know the public. It's a rare situation where they might like play more dogs than usual. So that will be one I'm looking at. But it feels like you don't get as many points as you like sometimes with these dogs in the tournament.
No, you don't. No, the lines are sharp. It's gotten a lot sharper because of the Ken Palms, Haslametrics, Bart Torvik's, and the truth is these are just solid efficiency sites. I have my NFL and college football efficiency algorithms. I don't do one for college. I could scrape the data if I wanted and put it into a spreadsheet, but it's so good. I don't need to, I just look at each one and kind of take what's good and bad of each one, and they're all pretty close in scores. So that's why the spread's so good. The market's kind of sharp to that. I'm not the only person that looks at it like that. And I put my spots, I minus points out and add points. And yeah, it's not as good. I mean, everyone thinks first half unders, right? In the NCAA tournament, right? Because those have been just money the first last few years. Last year wasn't as money, but the truth is, last year when they came out, the books had the first half unders extremely low, and they actually went up a little bit. So yeah, these books are sharp about these tournaments. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, and the one thing too is that's different, or one of the things different. The lines come out pretty much instantly from the selection. So 2 weeks from now, if you have your eye on a team or whatever, you think a line is going to move, you better get it right away because it's not unusual to see something open, 9.5, and it's too many. It closes 5.5, 6. So something to keep in mind when these tournaments come out. Last thing on the regular seasons, we are in the final week for some of these bigger conferences. How do you price senior week? Because that was always kind of like an under the radar thing, I thought, for a while. Again, way back where, all right, maybe it's not being priced in. Seniors are going to come out motivated, but now with the transfer portal, these kids aren't really attached to the schools. You could say it's a distraction. I know St. John's came out Saturday, senior day, and they were, missing shots tight. It's also a situation where you can maybe play the results and say, well, if they're playing well, it's because they're motivated. If they're not playing well, it's because they're tight. Do you factor in senior day to your handicapping?
Yes, I do, but you have to take it with a grain of salt because it just should be one thing. It's not like, oh, it's senior day. I'm betting on this team blindly. Yeah, because there's situations. Bad teams are bad teams. I've seen senior day and teams get their asses kicked against a team vying for seeds, vying for position, and that's what you got to look at this time of year. If a team can get to Friday without playing a game in the Big Ten tournament, they're going to put an extra effort to do that, and they're a good team. They're playing, I don't care what kind of seniors they're playing. They're going to, people try to, the market, and I say people try to move that towards, I'm going to be looking to go against that because it's a situation. And it's kind of happens for the opposite. This time of year, you want to look at teams that quit and can't improve or can't improve their seed and might want to rest some banged up people. Those are why you can lay points this time of year. But get back to senior day. You should factor it in for teams that are a bad team playing a bad team or a good team playing a good team. I give them a point or so, Will. Point and a half off the number. If it's kind of matching what my numbers are and there's a little bit of value, then it could be a play. But the transfer portal has affected it, but I also feel like a guy like John Tanji, right, from Wisconsin, even though he's just transferred in, he's a super senior, whatever, played for Colorado State for 4 years, last year hurt at Missouri. He's still connected to the school, and the school still wants to make him feel good. So it depends upon the situation. I know the past few years with Kentucky, Coach Cal over there, they didn't really have too many seniors, and so it really didn't factor in at all for them. Will.
Let's get to some of the money games. Oh, we'll go to the tournament because by the time people listen to this, the Atlantic Sun will have begun. We get the playing game Sunday between I think it's North Florida, Austin P, Stetson, and Central Arkansas. I don't imagine you think any of those teams are actually live to win. Lipscomb is a pretty heavy odds-on favorite here at minus 165. Then you have North Bama, Florida Gulf Coast, the Dunk City team we remember from a little over a decade ago, and Jacksonville, Eastern Kentucky, Queens. Do you have a bet in that tournament in terms of outright or a team to look for?
I mean, believe it or not, I do, and the line just moved in my favor a little bit. Obviously, I'm hitting them early. Now, here's the thing: the Atlantic Sun, they're playing at the home teams, the home, and I think that's kind of cool. It rewards the teams for
Higher seeds, you mean? Is that what the home team gets the higher? Okay,
correct. The higher seeds get the home game in this tournament, and I agree with doing that in a lot of tournaments. Kind of like when we saw in the playoffs, how we liked it so much in college, the home teams and everything. You
totally.
get that atmosphere, and they deserve it. So, you know, Lipscomb is probably the team that's going to win. They are minus 160. They're too high. You can do a money line rollover and maybe as long as they're playing the higher seeds get that or better. But I think Queens was live at 50 to 1. I don't know why they were 50 to 1. It's not like they're the 10 or 9 seed. Queens is a 6 seed and they beat the top teams, North Alabama, and I believe Lipscomb too. I'll pull that up right now. They beat the top teams already. So when I kind of see that, I'm like, well, they know how they play. They're doing all right. I looked at the health of their team. I don't see any injuries. I see their starting five has all played many games and looks pretty healthy. Why not take a team like a Queens that shouldn't be 50 to 1? Well, it's 45 to 1 now at FanDuel, but it was 50 to 1 when I hit it. Why
Still,
not take a
still
team
50 to
that
1 at DraftKings.
well, there you go. Still 50 to 1 at DraftKings. Why not take a team that's beaten the top teams? They beat Lipscomb away on January 9th, so they can win away. You can win those big games away. They beat North Alabama at home on Wednesday, January 29th. So why not them if they get hot? They're a fast-paced team. They're not terrible on defense, not great on offense. Decent field goal percentage. I'm going to take a small shot at them with a sprinkle at 50 to 1.
We've been doing these shows together for too long because that is one that caught my eye as well. I was shocked, not that I watch every game or anything, but just I follow them a little bit. And this conference, it's a lot of offense, it's a lot of 3-pointers, which means it's high variance. And we saw, I think, some upsets in this conference last year, and you see a lot of upsets in these conference tournaments every year, and I think for good reason. First of all, single elimination. There's just so much randomness. Plus, I think even though you get home court, there's a little pressure of all right, we had this great season, and it could all be wiped away with a bad game, a bad half, and vice versa. Where if you had a bad season, you can come out all right. We had a bad season. You know what? We're 0-0, just like the other team, and 3 games away from winning the tournament or going to the tournament. Now, Queens cannot make it because they haven't been initiated into
Right.
D1, which I hate that rule. But I'm with you. Queens at 50 to 1, I think, is live.
Yeah, in some conferences, well, we'll even get to one, have that rule, just the one seed gets it anyway. So instead of the person that actually played. So I find that interesting.
Yes, that's a good point. I believe in the Ace Sun. If Queens wins it, it doesn't go to the runner up. It goes to Lipscomb, the 1 seed. I believe that is correct, which
Yeah.
I'm okay with. I'm all for rewarding. As much as we love these conference tournaments, the regular season should be rewarded as much as possible. The one that starts after this, I'm not sure if it's Tuesday or Wednesday, but the Sun Belt. Arkansas State's the short shot at plus 200. South Bama and Troy, as well as James Madison, all kind of bunched up, all under 4 to 1. So they're expecting a pretty competitive, kind of wide open tournament among those four. Do you have anything with those teams?
This is the weirdest bracket in the world because it's literally just 2 games a day, and it's like a very, very long one because they're really rewarding the top seeds. As a matter of fact, the top seeds in the Sun Belt only play 2 games. You know, they make it all the way to the semifinals. James Madison and South Alabama. Their prices are on plus 270 and plus 200. The problem with this is that the better teams, Arkansas State and Troy, at least on the efficiency sites, are the 3 and 4 seeds. So it's going to be one of those 4 teams, but it's just so hard to bet because Arkansas State and Troy have the extra game, even though they're better than James Madison and South Alabama. This they don't even get to play until 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like through till 5 actual brackets go through. It is fun to look at this bracket. It's just the weirdest thing. It starts in the first round on March 4th and it ends on March 10th. I mean, this thing is a marathon, Will.
Interesting. Yeah. So that one is Tuesday. So we got one Monday, one Tuesday. And once it begins, man, these games they come fast and furious. Day games, games late at night, games early in the morning. It really is so great. Any of these other conference tournament futures that catch your eye? Any other any other conference, take it whatever direction you want to go. Anything stick out to you?
Yeah, the Horizon League was the first play I made. Robert Morris, I believe, is the play I made. They haven't won it since COVID. um, over there. But here's the thing: Cleveland State had a really bad finish, and I don't like teams that are not hot going into tournament time. Cleveland State lost one, two, three, four, five, four out of their last six games. That's pretty pathetic. And I mean, that's life. But if you're not hot going into your tournament, it's definitely one of the top seeds that I don't want to be on. The other one's UW Milwaukee, and they're the favorite, but UW Milwaukee has not been as good away from home. On Haslametrics, I like to look at home away splits, and and Robert Morris is the one that I like there. What's interesting about Robert Morris is they're the better seed, and they're actually not favored to win it. And I thought they should be. And then I looked and it flipped on another site where they are favored. I have to double check it if it's still where I bet it, Horizon League. It is still second at plus 270. At FanDuel, Milwaukee is plus 250. Just because Robert Morris is better away. And, the fact that Robert Morris just beat Milwaukee by 12, 13 points makes me think that they can match up. They went to Milwaukee and beat them too. Why would I not bet the better team that can beat Milwaukee, in my opinion, when they're the dog, not the favorite to win? I'll take the plus 270 on them.
The final Monday of the regular season. Anything catch your eye for the Monday slate?
Final Monday, my man. It's just moving along, isn't it?
It doesn't
March
break my
Madness.
heart. I like the regular season, but I love the conference tournaments and out here in the East where, look, once the regular season is over, that means the days get a little longer. It's a little warmer. So weather-wise, there's just a lot of things. As much as again, I love the regular season, love having these huge cards on Saturday. It does not break my heart that we get these conference tournaments to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm going to go with Northwestern against UCLA. The number is going to be probably pick 'em. Northwestern's been red hot, but it's just been based upon their defense. I think this is a spot that UCLA might be able to catch them. I don't know if UCLA went back home or not, but UCLA's got a lot of grit. I do think they're overrated. I lean Northwestern. I'll probably have a smaller play on Northwestern, but what I really like is the under. Both of these teams have really been slowing down lately. UCLA just does not shoot nearly as well away from home. And Northwestern just, is a team that really has been hurting for offense, as it is. Northwestern is a better home team, but they only shoot 50.2% effective field goal at home, while UCLA is only at 51% effective field goal on the road. When you're looking at slow teams, that's not a lot of threes going in. That's going to really look towards the under. I think this is going to keep getting hit. KenPom has 133. I'll be happy as hell if I get a 133. I don't think I'm going to get that. I think it's going to be around 131, but I like the under in this game for sure. And these teams are still vying for the Big Ten because the bottom three will in the Big Ten do not make the tournament this year. It's the first time that they had to do that. Northwestern's sitting at 7-11, but they're not in yet. They haven't clinched. UCLA is. So you're going to get a big effort from Northwestern. UCLA is just trying to get to the four, right? They're trying to get to the top four, which they can if you get a Maryland Purdue loss and maybe a complete blow up by Wisconsin or something, so they can possibly make it in if they do it. So I see a lot of effort, which tells me that there's going to be a defensive effort.
All right, last one. 2 years ago, it was FAU. Last year, it was NC State. Who is the deep, deep sleeper that you could see making a Final Four? I know people have brought up VCU. UC San Diego is a trendy team that a lot of people like. They're very good. Just it feels like they're a little too trendy. Do you have a team in your mind that's a deep, deep sleeper?
What's funny about UC San Diego too is they're ranked 35th. How deep is it? They're probably going to be a 9 seed, right, or 10 seed, I would assume. So I guess that is a deep sleeper still. But it's funny just to see this team doing so good. I've listened to your show a lot, Will, and I know other people pick UC San Diego, so I'm not going to pick them. I want to be a little different. So I'm going to go with High Point, and it's just what I said before. I think that's that team that can be hot. and stay hot and kind of play with house money. It's like, yeah, I like it when a team gets to the tournament, and of course they still got to get there. They got to win their conference tournament. And if they do, they're minus 250 to do it. They're going to go out there and just try to prove some people wrong, trying to shock people, while the other teams that they're playing are nervous because they have what the pressure on them. High Point does it. So I kind of like those spots. Another real deep sleeper, McNeese State, maybe. McNeese is always dangerous. McNeese is doing fantastic. I expect them to win the Southland. So, Paul Stone was on the show last week, gave out McNeese to win it all at 1,000 to 1, but he did it more for hedging. And believe it or not, Indiana's playing some pretty good ball lately.
Yeah,
I'm
they
gonna keep
are.
my eye on them. I don't want to call them a deep sleeper yet, but they're finally kind of pulling it together, Will.
Kev, I will let you go. You have a Wisconsin game to try to get your team home to the finish line as we are watching this game late here. At least I'm tracking it on my phone. But appreciate the time, man. March is here. I will definitely be getting you back on soon. If you're free, let everyone know where they can find you.
Check us out at theoddsbreakers.com. We're going to have all this information out there, some write-ups on these tournaments, as well as the big tournaments when they start later. Absolutely, Will. We'll be calling on you shortly. And once again, enjoy the madness.
Appreciate the time, man. Thanks. Thank you to Kiev O'Neil. Rate, review, subscribe. March is underway. We'll be back Wednesday, preview some more conference tournaments. See you then.